Galina exited work with a joyful skip in her step. She couldn't believe her luck today. The power unexpectedly went out at the office, causing her bosses to stubbornly keep everyone around for 2 more hours in idleness. However, someone had the bright idea to contact the power grid and found out there had been a major accident on the line, leaving the workplace without electricity until evening. Galina wasted no time and rushed home, excited with all the things she had planned to do. It had been ages since she and her husband had treated themselves to a romantic evening. As Galina got off the bus at her stop, she confidently headed towards the store. She purchased a bottle of champagne, realizing that she already had everything else she needed in the refrigerator. Grinning from ear to ear, she entered the building and called the elevator. The doors closed and a tall, unfamiliar woman joined her in the confined space. Galina couldn't help but notice the girl's vibrant appearance. It was the first time she had seen her around. When the elevator arrived, the girl informed Galina that it was the 8th floor, coincidentally the same floor Galina needed to reach. Pressing the correct button, Galina's curiosity was piqued. However, their journey was short-lived as the elevator abruptly jolted and the lights flickered. Though the lights came back on, the elevator remained immobile. The 2 girls naturally tried pressing all the buttons, but their efforts were in vain. "We should call the building dispatcher," Galina suggested, pressing the appropriate button. After a long wait, they finally heard the displeased voice of a woman on the other end. Galina provided the necessary information about the house and entrance numbers and received a curt instruction to wait. "How long will you wait?" Galina asked impatiently. "Long," the dispatcher replied. "We're having some kind of nightmare today. There are 4 more elevators. Just wait. Your turn will come too." Galina immediately checked her phone, only to find that there was no connection. She noticed that her unwilling neighbor was doing the same and sighed in annoyance. It seemed that there was no connection for her either. Galina closed her eyes, realizing she would have been better off staying at work. She and the girl stood in silence for a while. 10 minutes passed, then 15. The silence continued to surround them. "Excuse me," the girl suddenly spoke up. "Do you live here?" "Yes," Galina replied. "I guess you don't." "No," the girl confirmed. "This is the 2nd time I've been here. I wanted to ask, how often is the elevator cleaned? I just can't stand it anymore." "Almost every day," Galina answered. "Great." The girl threw her bag on the floor and sat on top of it. Galina stood there for a moment, then took out a bottle from her bag and placed it on the floor. She threw her bag on the floor as well and sat on top of it facing her neighbor. "Champagne," she grinned. "Did you want to celebrate something?" "Just here," Galina waved her hand. "I thought I'd come home early today. I'll cook dinner. We'll sit with my husband, have a drink. We'll talk." "Happy," the girl said. Galina looked at her interlocutor in surprise. She was elegant, beautiful, and very well groomed. It was unlikely that she worked at all, but Galina couldn't help but feel happy by her comment. The interlocutor grinned, observing Galina. "I know what you're thinking," she said. "Yes, I'm beautiful, but beauty alone isn't enough for happiness. I come from a small town. I always dreamt of coming to Moscow, becoming a famous model, and having the world at my feet. And here I am," the girl gestured around. "And there are thousands like me here, all with ambitions. And yet you're not a model?" Galina inquired. "No," the girl replied. "I didn't become a model, and I haven't found happiness in life. It's true what they say. It's better to be born happy than beautiful." "I can't believe someone as beautiful as you is alone," Galina remarked. "Surely men are constantly paying attention to you." They do, I always seem to fall for the wrong ones. What's your name? The girl asked suddenly. I'm Galina. And you? Galina replied. I'm Jean. You're buying champagne. You're heading home to your husband. But my happiness is different. It's sneaky, secretive. I only have a few stolen hours with my beloved when my wife is at work and the children are at school or camp. Galina was taken aback. She studied Jean carefully. Are you going to meet your lover? She asked. Jane nodded. Are you judging me? Jean asked bitterly. No, Galina shook her head. I'm not judging. Just, at that moment, the elevator jolted and started moving. A few seconds later, it stopped and the doors opened. Galina and Jean quickly exited. Galina recognized her door and knew they were on the right floor. Jean approached her door as well, reaching for the bell. Jean, wait. Galina stopped her. Jane looked at Galina, puzzled. She couldn't wait to be rid of her, regretting her openness with this new acquaintance. Do you even love him? I adore it. Jean exclaimed enthusiastically. He's truly exceptional. Gallia passed her a bottle of champagne. Then take it, and inform my husband that I will be spending the night at a friend's house. I will return home tomorrow after work. He has 24 hours to pack his belongings and vacate the apartment. I will initiate divorce proceedings myself, she stated resolutely as she walked towards the stairs with her head held high. Jean stood there holding the bottle of champagne, feeling as though she had just encountered Mish's wife. Where have you been? My wife will be returning soon, and you are still absent, Michael said as he opened the door. Mish. Jean looked at him in astonishment. I got stuck in the elevator. What elevator? Michael asked, puzzled. This one, yours. And I am not alone. She handed him the bottle of champagne. I am stuck with Gallia. Which Gallia? Michael inquired. Yours, Jean responded calmly. Your wife, Gallia. Are you joking or intoxicated? How could you get stuck in the elevator with Gallia? She is at work, he questioned. Jean proceeded to narrate the elevator incident to Michael. He slumped onto a bench in the hallway, shaking his head. Did she not curse or shout? Did she not cry? He inquired. No, Jean confirmed. She calmly handed me the bottle and departed. I understand now. You should leave, Michael said. Excuse me, but I just arrived. Additionally, your wife mentioned she would return tomorrow night. Leave, Michael commanded sternly. He shut the door forcefully and reached for the phone. He dialed his wife's number, only to find it disconnected. Michael pondered his next steps. He realized contacting Galli's friends would be futile as none of them would divulge her whereabouts. Therefore, all he could do was wait until the following day. The next evening, after finishing work, Gallia even managed to submit a divorce application. Feeling exhausted, she longed to return home for a restful night's sleep. Having spent the previous night at a friend's place who had gone through a similar ordeal years ago, Gallia's friend had forgiven her husband and advocated for her to do the same. Despite their challenging circumstances, Galina's friend insisted on reconciliation. At least you won't be alone, she remarked. Throughout the evening, Gallia silently absorbed the advice, withholding her own thoughts, as she had already made a decision. Upon entering the apartment, Gallia realized her husband had not left. Contrary to previous evenings, he had returned home promptly today. Why are you still here? Gallia asked wearily. I only asked for one thing, for you to leave. Is that too much to ask? This is my home as well, Michael retorted. Yes, agreed Galina, but you betrayed me. Our son will return from camp in just 10 days. This is his home. Do you want us to leave with him? Galia, I don't want anyone to leave. Michael responded, I've prepared dinner. Let's eat and talk. I deeply regret my actions, and I promise this will not happen again. Galina let out a tired sigh. I was hoping you'd figure it out on your own, she said. So we could avoid this conversation, but looks like we couldn't. Fine, give me 20 minutes. I'll meet you in the kitchen and we'll talk. Michael not only cooked dinner, but he also set out beautiful dishes and lit candles. I didn't even know we had these dishes, Galina chuckled, taking a seat at the table. But this is all unnecessary, she said as she blew out the candles. Why won't you give me another chance, Gal? Michael pleaded. Another chance for what? Galina asked. You've been seeing someone else. It's clear you prefer her over me. I don't get why you didn't just tell me about her earlier, but it's your decision. Now that I know, I don't think I can stand in the way of your happiness. You're talking nonsense, Gal. I made a mistake, but I don't love Jean, I love you. We have a family, a child, he said softly, and you don't love me at all. Suddenly, Michael questioned his wife. You're so composed. You didn't even shed a tear. You don't care, do you? Fine, said Galina. Let me break it down in a way you'll understand. Jean said she's been to our house before yesterday. How long has this been going on? Be honest. About 4 months, Misha admitted, guilt evident in his eyes. Is she the first woman you've cheated on me with? Galina inquired. Yes, he confirmed, somewhat reluctantly. Don't lie, she urged. No, not the first, but it was nothing serious. Just casual meetings. Maybe 2 or 3 times. But with Jean, I don't know how it happened. Michael explained. Okay, Galina nodded. Are we on the same page now, or do I need to spell it out further? I didn't understand anything. It's my fault. I'm sorry. Michael apologized. Yes, it's your fault, Balia replied. And no, I'm not going to forgive you. You seem to be better off with another woman than with me. And it's been clear that you haven't wanted me around for a long time. You deceived me every day for 4 months. How dare you bring her into our apartment? What kind of love are you talking about, Nisha? A loving man would never do such a thing. I understand that we've both changed and our feelings have evolved over time. I would have forgiven and understood if you had come to me and said that you no longer love me, that you had feelings for someone else. But this I can't forgive. I want you out of my life. I've already started the divorce proceedings. I hope you have some conscience left and leave the apartment to me and our son. If not, I'll leave tonight. I don't want to be near you anymore. I'm sorry, but I'm exhausted by you and your lies. I'll leave, Michael replied. And I'll leave you the apartment. Go ahead, but you'll regret it. It's a large apartment. It's unlikely that you'll be able to afford it without me. And what about Maxim's expenses? School, camp, tutors. Do you think you can manage on your own? I'll manage, Galia answered firmly. Just go away. A year later, Michael arrived at the correct floor and rang the doorbell. A stranger opened the door. Who are you? Michael asked rudely. I'm Semyon, the man replied. And you must be Galina's ex-husband. Yes, where is she? Galina appeared in the corridor. Hello, Gal. Jan appeared shyly from behind Michael's shoulder. Well, hello, Galina grinned. Why did you come? Who is this? Michael asked, pointing his finger roughly at Semyon. This is Semyon, Galina calmly explained. He's my classmate. We bumped into each other on the street a few months ago. Semyon is an engineer, skilled in physics and math. I study with Maxim. I don't see Maxim here, Michael snidely remarked. He'll be here in a moment, Semyon replied. I arrived early to assist Galia with household chores. However, it doesn't concern you. Galina nodded in agreement. You still haven't mentioned why you're here. She directed the question to her ex-husband. Because of Maxim, Michael responded. I have the right to visit my son every week. We agreed that he would spend at least 2 Sundays a month with me, he added. We did agree, confirmed Galina. But Maxim is already 12. He has his own thoughts. He doesn't want to spend time with you, she said with a shrug. You're deliberately turning him against me, accused Michael. But as he turned around, he saw his son approaching with a fishing rod in hand. Uncle Seema, Maxim addressed the man, oblivious to his father's presence. Look, I borrowed this from a friend. Will it work? Semyon reassured him, it will fit perfectly. Let me put it away. You should speak with your dad. Maxim reluctantly handed over the fishing rod. Why don't you want to come to visit me on weekends? Pleaded Michael. The boy shrugged. Well, for one thing, you left Mom. She cried, and I cried with her. Although now things are better. We have Uncle Semyon now. He spends time with us and you. You seem bored. I don't want to come to your place. You go to work. Jean is often busy, and I have nothing to do. At home I feel needed. Maxim, Galia said to him, head home and wash your hands. Sure, Mom, the boy replied happily. Galina glanced at her ex-husband and smirked. You still don't get it, do you? She inquired.